Yeah.
That's for speeches.
This is for speech. No, that one.
Okay. So he's thinking of this. Oh, he's thinking of this.
He wants to read his notes.
Oh, from his iPad.
He wants.
iPad.
Yeah, he's got his music sheets.
Okay.
So,
All
all
right.
right.
Can we go to this one?
Check one.
Okay, so
That's
this and
yeah. This is for you.
thank you.
1, 2. You're playing like this. Yeah. Okay. One, two. 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. 2, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. 2, 2. 2. Come back in. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2. A little more. In the wedge. In the wedge. 1, 2. 2. A little more. In the wedge. Hey, hey, you killed it before. Hey, hey, bring it up. 1, 2, 2. Rob, bring it up. Hey, hey, in the wedge. 1, 2. Right there, right there. Thanks.
tell me when you want to start. Could Cantor Fala come to the stage, please? Good evening, everyone. Could you please take your seats? We'd like to begin in just a moment. Thank you. Should I move it? Oh. I think it's... Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Danny Peltz, and I am a grandson of Holocaust survivors, a member of the board of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, and chair of this evening's program. We welcome everyone with us tonight at the Holocaust Memorial and the hundreds of viewers watching us via live stream. We will begin with the singing of the Star Spangled Banner and Hatikva, led by Cantor Norman Cohen Fala of Temple Sinai of North Dade. Everyone, please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say that the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Tolobare ba penima nefesh Yehudi Obia ulfate Mizrach Kadima Ain Letzion Sophia Od Vavada Tikvateinu Atikvavat Shnot Alpaim Liotam Chofshi Be'aretzeinu Eretz Zion Birushalayim Liotam Chofshi Be'aretzeinu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim.
Thank you, Cantor Follow. Everyone, please be seated.
Great start.
I know, right? Guess we just go forward. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Thank you, everyone. And obviously, I apologize for the weather to the extent that I wish I could control it. Um, as we continue on, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the presence of a number of dignitaries who join us tonight to share in the solemn occasion. State Senator Chevron Jones, State Senator Jason Pizzo, State Representative Joe Geller, State Representative Mike Greco, Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber, Miami-Dade School Board Member Lucia Baez Geller, Consul General of Canada Sylvia Cesarato, Consul General of Germany Andreas Siegel, Consul General of Romania Catalin Guinea, Deputy Consul General of Italy Eva Alvino, Deputy Consul General of Japan Fumio Tsuda, Honorary Consul of Monaco Thomas Abreu, and representative from Congresswoman Frederica Wilson's office, representatives and consulates of Israel and the Netherlands in Miami. Tonight, we offer our deep appreciation to two legislators who have been great friends to the memorial, Senator Jason Pizzo and Representative Mike Greco. Both have served as lead sponsors for the last several years of legislation that has ultimately directed millions of dollars from Tallahassee to the Holocaust Memorial. Their efforts have helped to ensure that we have adequate resources to create high-quality Holocaust education programming and that we make it available to school districts in all 67 counties throughout the state of Florida. Senator Pizzo, fortunately for us, is running unopposed in the upcoming election. However, he will no longer be representing Miami Beach as of later this week due to redistricting. Senator, we are grateful for your leadership, and we look forward to continuing to work with you to fight anti-Semitism, bigotry, and hate in all forms. Representative Mike Greco chose not to run for re-election, and this evening marks his last official public appearance as a member of the Florida House of Representatives. Representative Greco, we are appreciative of your partnership and your service to our community, and we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for your service. We also recognize the founders of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, Norman Brayman, Jack Chester of blessed memory, Dr. Helen Fagan of blessed memory, George Goldblum of blessed memory, Selig Golan of blessed memory, Ezra Katz, Abe Resnick of blessed memory, David Schachter, Rabbi Solomon Schiff of blessed memory, Harry B. Smith of blessed memory, and Kenneth Treaster. Tonight, we commemorate the 84th anniversary of Kristallnacht, the German pogrom known as the Night of Broken Glass, a profound and horrifying event that confronted the Jews of Germany and Austria. On November 9th and 10th, 1938, and for weeks thereafter, hordes of thugs, hooligans, and German military flooded the streets and terrorized Jewish communities under the direction of Nazi Reich Minister of Propaganda Joseph Goebbels. They ransacked Jewish homes and hospitals. They burned synagogues, desecrating Torah schools, holy books, and precious religious objects. They destroyed more than 7,000 Jewish businesses, and they arrested more than 30,000 Jewish men, incarcerating them in concentration camps and murdering 90 Jewish husbands, fathers, and sons that week, and 300 more in ensuing weeks. Any German or Austrian Jews who had previously believed in coexistence with the Nazi regime had their illusions violently shattered. The prelude to the unprecedented catastrophe, later known as the Shoah or the Holocaust, had arrived and no Jew was safe. 84 years later, we are gathered here at the Holocaust Memorial to remember, to mourn, and to share in the lessons of the Shoah, lessons that sadly are as relevant today as ever, as evidenced by recent events. Our next speaker is chair of the board of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach and a third-generation survivor. We are grateful for her leadership and activism as the memorial undergoes a new era of expansion that fulfills its mission of delivering the highest quality Holocaust education for our community. It is my honor to introduce Jessica Katz.
Glad I did my hair tonight. Thank you, Danny. Good evening, everyone. There are those who question why we continue to commemorate Kristallnacht and persist in Holocaust remembrance 3 generations after these calamities were inflicted on the Jewish people. They say things like, why not restrict the legacy of Hitler's murderous reign to the history books? Why not look forward rather than looking back? It is obvious that these misguided individuals have failed to learn one of the primary lessons of the Shoah. We honor and value events like tonight's Kristallnacht gathering, especially tonight as we sit together in the rain, because anti-Semitism unfortunately did not end with the Holocaust. As the world's oldest form of mass hatred and discrimination, anti-Semitism survives in our society still, and it is our responsibility to stand up to the vicious purveyors of this prejudice. Together, we are obliged to raise our voices and decry their lies and lies directed at all good people. In 2021, 2,717 anti-Semitic incidents were reported across the United States. Florida alone experienced a 71% increase in anti-Semitic hate incidents in the past 2 years, according to an ADL study. In a time when celebrity slurs on social media gain traction and encourage violence among followers, influencers like Kanye West, and resort to outrageously anti-Semitic statements to express their irrational disdain for the Jewish people. Others use stereotypical lies and dog whistle inferences to falsely blame Jews for the widest possible array of societal problems. It is no surprise that this environment has encouraged a resurgence of angry marches by neo-Nazis and their sympathizers across our own country and beyond, and increasing numbers of assaults on Jews and Jewish institutions. While many of these malicious slurs and incidents have been challenged by people of conscience, they nonetheless leave their mark. Tonight, we assemble together to mourn the 6 million victims of Hitler's final solution and to comfort the remaining survivors who live among us. But we also gather to demand an end to the lies and the hatred. We unite to call out malicious anti-Semitic behavior as the venomous libel that it is. Beyond our expressions of outrage, we remain committed to remembering the legacy of the Holocaust and to teaching it to each new generation. We believe that Holocaust education is a tool to build greater understanding and harmony in our society. Our work is never done. We also believe that Holocaust education preserves the truth about the Shoah and actively refutes the bias spewed by Holocaust deniers. The Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach is the centerpiece of our community's efforts to extend Holocaust education to the widest possible audience. In the past year, despite the challenges that continue to be posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, 42,000 visitors from more than 40 countries have come to the Holocaust Memorial, where we stand today. They emerged from here with a greater understanding of Hitler's terror against the Jews during World War II, and also a shared resolve to prevent genocide and to build a better world. Standing here, they confronted the power of evil and learned that we must be stronger than the forces of hatred. Meanwhile, the memorial staff and volunteers lead educational programs in our schools for adult groups that enlighten the public and share the lessons of the Holocaust. As chair of the Holocaust Memorial Board, I express our very deep appreciation and gratitude to the Greater Miami Jewish Federation for its support of this truly special community landmark and to our vital message of tolerance.
Thank you, Jessica. We are proud of the many community leaders who are standing with us tonight to commemorate the anniversary of Kristallnacht. I am proud to invite Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava to come forward and share her thoughts with us.
What's a little rain? Does not deter us, not for one moment. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday will mark 85 years since the beginning of Kristallnacht, 2 nights of terror that began one of humanity's darkest chapters. So we're gathered here this evening to honor the memory of all those we lost in the years that followed, and to reaffirm our commitment to stand together against hatred in all its forms, both at home and abroad. I was so fortunate to have participated with my wonderful husband, Dr. Robert Cava, in the March of the Living and to visit Holocaust sites. That was about the past, but sadly, as we know, also too much about the present. And unless we can turn the tide, a terrible risk for our future. In our own country, we have yet to fully live up to the founding fathers' principles that all people are created equal. And it can sometimes feel as though the tide of progress has ebbed, and that the gains that we have fought so hard for and won since the night of the broken glass, those progresses, those wins seem to be eroding. So we're living in a time of increasing anti-Semitic sentiment and anti-Semitic violence. Misinformation is spreading wildly and dangerously. Some of the most famous people, influencers in the world, are openly spewing ancient but still living conspiracies about Jewish people and encouraging open hatred and violence. Hate crimes are up across the entire spectrum, but more so against the Jewish people. But we cannot separate this trend from hate crimes against members of our Black, Asian American, Pacific Islander, Latino, and LGBTQ communities. We are all affected. Through all of this darkness, we must remember that setbacks are an inherent part of human progress, and that the road we have taken to get to where we are today was not a straight line. We must not despair. We all have the power to continue to turn the tide towards greater inclusivity, equity, and opportunity. We have so much more in common than that which separates us. We all know that, especially in a community like ours that is so rich in diversity of our people. People coming from everywhere to make a better life, and those who've been here for decades, if not centuries. We all share the same hopes and the same dreams. We must also remember that we share a common fate. So standing together with other groups that face violence and oppression, we can and we will overcome this hate, and we will shine a light where there is darkness. So our strength, whether Black, Jewish, queer, Latino, AAPI, is our unity. It can be tempting to give in to fear and despair and cynicism, and that's why it is so important now more than ever that we come together and respond to this hatred, this ugliness, with love, with grace, and with compassion. We must continue to build bridges and engage and promote a message of tolerance and inclusion across all of our communities, and I am more optimistic than ever that we can overcome this divisiveness thanks to the goodwill of so many leaders and advocates like all of you today who have stood by, sat by in this rain, and who are always here, who are deeply, deeply committed to building a kinder community, a kinder country and world. I look forward at the end of this month to joining mayors around the world at a conference in Athens to address the issue of anti-Semitism and to share strategies and solutions and to bring them back home to our communities. These last few years have taught us so much, and they have taught us that we can come together, and more brings us together than drives us apart. Thank you so very much for being with us on this important night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Levine Cava. Now please welcome to the podium our next speaker, a great friend of the Holocaust Memorial, Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber.
Thank you to the gentleman in the front for clapping. You know, look, we're Jews. We know what's important sometimes isn't easy. There's rain here, but we speak out in rain. We speak out in the public square. We speak out in our synagogues. We speak out to people who don't want to hear what we're saying. We speak out because people have to speak out and stand up in the face of anti-Semitism. And for me, look, I'm Dan Gelber, I'm the mayor of Miami Beach, and I begin every speech with the same line. I am a proud Zionist. And you have to say that because we have to be proud, because what is happening in the world right now is something that can create the kind of terror that could change your behavior. We are remembering something 80-something years ago that you can feel the same kind of public anti-Semitism today. I was thinking about this week or this month. Almost every day I heard about something. Down the street in the county next, somebody putting a SWAT sticker on a synagogue. A rap star or a sports star saying something so dramatically anti-Semitic that it just is shocking. Anti-Semitism is being normalized. It continues to be normalized. It's part of Main Street, and that is why we must stand up. That is why all of us must stand up. And I want to begin and end by really doing one thing, and that is thanking the people, the Katz family, the Brayman family, all the folks that are extending this Holocaust memorial so that it can have animation in the current, so that it can mean something to people today. They're going to be building beautiful centers over there, beautiful centers that are going to have holographic Holocaust survivors. Kids, young people, people who need to hear them are going to be able to go into these halls that are going to be built soon. And they're going to hear about something that happened a long time ago, but that has vitality today. So I want to thank you all for doing that. I also want to thank my city for supporting it. Look, I'm a believer in one basic thing. When you hear hate, you don't run away, you don't hide, you stand up and you say something and you do something, and they're doing something. They're building something that's going to be a true front in the war against anti-Semitism. I also want to tell you, and I see my colleague, Commissioner Minor there, that when I always hear about someone saying something or doing something that is not simply offensive, but beyond offensive, I always think our city should act. So I called up our finance guy yesterday, and he said that we will be writing a $500,000 Israeli bond check tomorrow, just to let people know that our city doesn't sit around when people are anti-Semitic. We take action, and we will always take action. So thank you to all those that are here. Daniela, as always, thank you. I appreciate so much your leadership, your moral leadership in our city. We need this right now. Hate is on the march, and we have to push it back. We are the voices. We are the people. We have to take a stand, because if we don't, no one will. And that is going to be something that's terrible. So thank you all. Thanks to the Federation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Gelber. These are my last words is a phrase found repeatedly in letters written by those who would not survive the Shoah. Letters have been uncovered over the last 60 years, saved by families and friends, and ultimately collected by Holocaust museums around the world. These letters were sent from ghettos, hidden in the cattle cars and train stations, and smuggled out of concentration camps. They reveal the raw emotions of mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers trying desperately to tell their stories before it is too late. Some believe they might survive or simply hope they would survive. Their letters reflect hope and aspirations for the future, anxieties of the present, and the bittersweet memories of the past. One of these letters is from Dr. Elkanan Elks, who was appointed as head of the Council of the Elders in the Kovno Ghetto and died in Landberg concentration camp in 1944. In this letter to his children, he gives shocking testimony of the fate of the Lithuanian Jews and how the last slaughter, the largest one, cost us 10,000 victims at once on October 28, 1941. His children survived the Holocaust because he had put them on the Kinder transport train to Great Britain, which inevitably saved them from the terror, destruction, and death experienced by their parents and their community. I invite Ella Peltz and Braden Labgold Carroll, both Young Lion of Judah of the Holocaust Memorial, to share Dr. Elk's letter with us. The Young Lion of Judah program pairs bar and bat mitzvah students and Holocaust survivors for several months of learning. The reading of Dr. Elk's words will be followed by an excerpt from the diary of Klaus Langer, read by Maxwell Schultz, a second-year student ambassador of the Holocaust Memorial Initiative. Klaus Langer was born in Germany on April 12, 1924. Klaus began his diary with excerpts we are sharing shortly after his bar mitzvah in March of 1937, and reported on the political situation in Germany and its effect on his family. His longest and most detailed diary entry is about Kristallnacht. As for many German Jews, Kristallnacht served as a powerful catalyst for emigration. Unfortunately, his parents were unable to emigrate from Germany due to various paper walls. Please welcome Ella Peltz, Braden Labgold Carroll, and Maxwell Schultz.
William Pola Ghetto, Kovno, October 19th, 1943. My beloved son and daughter, I am writing these lines to you, my beloved children, at a time when we have already been here. I am in the Vale of Tears in the Kovno Ghetto of William Pola for over 2 years. We found out that in the next few days, our fate will be decided. The ghetto that we're in will be cut and shredded to pieces. Only God knows whether we will all be destroyed or whether some of us will remain. I have been the head of the ghetto since the day it was founded. Standing straight and tall, I have stood, watch, asking not for pity, but always defending our honor with faith and confidence in the sincerity and justice of our demands. In the most difficult moments of our lives, you, my beloved, have always been on our minds and part of our thoughts. During long and dark nights, your beloved mother sits with me and we both dream about your lives and future. I am very doubtful, my beloved souls, whether I will be privileged to see you again, to hug and squeeze you to my heart. Prior to my departing from the world, you, my beloved, I wish to say again and again how precious you are to us and how we yearn for you.
My beloved Joel, be a loyal son to your people. Try to settle in the land of Israel. The power of faith is great, and it can transfer and move mountains from their place. Do not look either right and left on your path, my son. Go straight before you. Truth, my beloved, should always be a guiding light. It will guide you and show you the path of life. Concerning you, Sarah, my beloved daughter, read carefully the last words that I wrote to Joel. I rely, my lovely one, on your clear mind and intellect. Don't live for the moment, and don't ask as you go on your way for blooming flowers. They will wither and droop as fast as they've appeared. A pure life, a noble life, a life full of content is so full of beauty. The two of you should go together throughout life, attached and holding one another. No distance should separate you, and no events of life should come between you. My strength wanes. I feel as if a desolate desert is within me and my soul is departing. I am naked and empty with no words in my language. But you, my dear beloved, you will have an insight and understand what I have wished for you and wanted to tell you at this time. For a moment, I close my eyes and picture the two of you standing before me. I hereby hug and kiss you, and I tell you until my last breath that I am your loving father.
November 7th, 1938. The past 3 days brought significant changes in our lives. On November 7th, a German legation member was assassinated in Paris. He died 2 days later. The day following came the consequences. At 3 o'clock, the synagogue and Jewish youth center were put on fire. Then they began to destroy Jewish businesses. Fires were started at single homes belonging to Jews. At 6:30 in the morning, the Gestapo came to our home and arrested father and mother. Mother returned after 1.5 hours. Dad remained and was put in prison. Not far from us, we saw a gang vandalizing a home, throwing things out the window. When I went around the corner and looked up my street, there was nothing to see. It looked peaceful. I therefore returned directly to our house. But when I turned to the front yard, I saw that the house was damaged. I ran into our apartment and found unbelievable destruction in every room. My parents' instruments were destroyed. The dishes were broken. The windows were broken. Furniture upturned. The desk turned over. Drawers and mirrors were broken. And the radio smashed. In the middle of the night, at 2:30 a.m., the stormtroopers smashed windows and threw stones at store shutters. After a few minutes, they demanded to be let into the house. Allegedly, they were looking for weapons. After they found no weapons, they left. After that, no one was able to go back to sleep. Everyone sat in one room. I tried, but could not sleep. The time passed slowly. Finally, at 5 a.m., I saw a policeman outside who walked back and forth. I shall never forget that night.
Thank you, Ella, Braden, and Maxwell. Music played an important element of Jewish tradition, expressing our deepest emotions even when our hearts are filled with sorrow. Joining us today to perform several selections is Dr. Daniel Andai, Dean of Music of the New World School of the Arts. On March 11, 1938, months before Kristallnacht, the German army was sent into Austria and the annexation of Austria to the Reich was announced 2 days later in Vienna. Known as the Anschluss, it created a very dangerous situation for Jews living in Austria. Most of the population welcomed the Anschluss enthusiastically. This fervor expressed itself in widespread anti-Semitism and an almost total absence of resistance to the Nazis. Wendy Reese Rothfield was a 3-year-old child in 1938 when her family made the perilous escape from Vienna. Today, Wendy is a respected member of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach Committee and a past chair of our Kristallnacht Commemoration. She joins us today to share her recollections.
That was the sound of crystal glass breaking. The rain tonight is heaven telling us how sad Providence is for what we are going to be commemorating, remembering this evening. I am a child survivor who escaped the Nazi barbarism that murdered my entire European family and millions of other Jews. They say now that this happened once upon a time, but it happens all the time. 8 months before Kristallnacht, Germany annexed Austria on a Friday afternoon in March 1938. My father had just received a large check for selling a lot of merchandise. It was too late to go to the bank that Friday afternoon, so he went home. That afternoon, throngs of joyful people filled the streets of Vienna to welcome the German military. The people were throwing flowers. Hitler was with his troops, and he planned to give a speech that afternoon at the Heldenplatz. The next morning, 4 German Gestapo officers and brown shirts carrying guns came up to our apartment. One was the same merchant that my father had done business with the night before. At gunpoint, he forced my father to return the check. 1 day later, my father was walking on the Graben, and a Gestapo officer demanded to see his papers. When he saw that he was a Jew, my father was given a bucket of water, soap, and a brush, and he took him to a building, walked him up 3 flights of stairs, had him stand on the outside of the window on a ledge with no harness, and he was to wash the windows. Gemütlichkeit in Vienna had evaporated. Vienna changed. We were no longer welcome in our own city. My father's business was Aryanized, and the Nazis confiscated his merchandise. All the park benches had signs that read, "No Jews allowed." Nazis harassed anyone who was walking in the streets that they thought might be Jewish. They retained my uncle, who had gone to the movies and was called out by the Gestapo for several days. Our food shopping was limited to a few hours each day. Then Kristallnacht happened. Leopoldstadt, my home, the Jewish section of Vienna, was ablaze. I remember shouting and the noise of crashing objects, glass and furniture. Rampaging hooligans torched Jewish stores and homes. Our synagogue was set aflame and destroyed. The Nazi firefighters saved only the buildings on either side of the Seitengasse synagogue. My parents, at this point, made an agonizing decision. One dark night, they turned off all the lights to our apartment, locked the doors, left everything we owned, and we went to the train station. After many difficult months in Poland and England, my father obtained tickets on the Cunard ship, the HMS Athenia, and we were booked to sail to America. On the day of the sailing, the ship's doctor had to examine all the passengers. When he put the stethoscope to my chest, I screamed and carried on, and my father had to take us home. We had to take a different ship. I had been moved from city to city to city, and I was terrified. The Athenia, the HMS Athenia, was the very first passenger ship that the Germans torpedoed and sank. They gunned down the few lifeboats filled with survivors. After many more weeks in limbo and trauma, my father obtained tickets on the USS Manhattan. We sailed with a convoy on November 1st, 1939, and we happily arrived in New York Harbor, greeted by Miss Liberty. In gratitude, my blessed life in America had begun. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy, for sharing your moving thoughts and memories with us. The deaths of the 6 million Jews murdered during the Shoah are forever in our hearts. We call upon Cantor Norman Cohen-Fala to lead us in the recitation of the El Maleh Rachamim, the traditional Hebrew prayer for the souls of the deceased.
Please stand for the memorial prayer. Maleh Rachamim Shochen Vameromim Hametem Enuchanechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Ve'malot Kedoshim Utehorim Kezoar Harakia Mazirim Eteni Shemot שישה מיליון, אחינו ואחיותינו, שנהרגו, שנשחטו, שנשרפו ושנזבו על קידוש השם. וידי המרצחים הגרמנים, הנאצים ועוזריהם משאר העמים. לכן בעל הרחמים יסירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר אמן.
Thank you, Cantor Fala. The Kaddish is one of the most familiar of all Jewish prayers. It reaffirms our faith in God even when we have experienced great personal loss. Please join David Schachter, a Holocaust survivor and founder of the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach, and Sidney Carpel Schachter as they lead us in this ancient prayer.
You ready to start?
Please
Remain standing.
remain standing and please repeat my words.
No, you're not. Say, David. You get on here. This side. This side. This side.
Yisgadal v'yiskadash.
Auschwitz. Lodge.
Shemei Rabbah
Ponar.
Be'ala Dvarach Varchei Histei
Babi Yar.
V'yamlich Malchutei
Maidanek.
B'chaim Yomchem Rahim
Birkenau.
B'chaim B'chol Beit Yisrael
Kovno.
B'galo V'yizman Kariv
Janowska.
V'yimra Amen Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Olam V'Olmayo Yisborach V'Yishtabach
Theresian State.
V'Yizhatel V'Yizharam V'Yisraam
Buchenwald.
V'Yiznaseh V'Yizhadal
Treblinka.
V'Yithalel V'Yithalel
Vilna.
Shemei Dekicha
Bergen-Belsen.
Baruchu Ve'alo.
Madhausen,
Mikol birchata v'shirata.
Dachau,
Tishbechata v'nechamata.
Minsk,
V'yomru be'alaya almayo.
Warsaw,
Omer omen. Yehi shlomo rabbo min shemayo. Chayim oleinu v'yal kol Yisrael. V'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. V'hu yaseh shalom oleinu. V'yal kol Yisrael. V'yimru amen. I would like to tell all of you how painful it is to say Kaddish for 6 million of our people and the 1.5 kinder under the age of 12. Imru Amen.
Thank you, David and Sydney. Before concluding the ceremony, I'd like to thank each and every one of you, both here at the memorial and online, for joining us. Your participation has made this event more meaningful and is deeply appreciated by the committee of dedicated volunteers who organized tonight's program. I'd also like to extend, for everyone that is here, thank you, sincere thanks for braving with the weather. Obviously the conditions were less than ideal and perfect, but we all stayed. We all stayed because we know the importance of being here tonight and next year and so on and so forth, because that is critical and that is important. I'd also like to thank Sharon Horowitz and her team at the Holocaust Memorial Miami Beach for putting together tonight's program, and as well as what they do every day, day in and day out. We close our program with the singing of the Hymn of the Partisans, led in original Yiddish by cantor Norman Cohen-Falla.
Keinmal als du gehst am letzten Weg, Gott ihm im Leiene verstellen bläuete, kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schau, es wird erfolgt an unser Trott, wir seinen da, kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schau, es wird erfolgt an unser Trott, wir seinen da. Von grünen Palmenland bis weißen Land von Schnee. Wir kommen an mit unser Pein, mit unser Weh. Und wo gefallen sie, so spritzt vor unser Blut. Sprotzen wird dort unser Wure, unser Mut. Und wo gefallen sie, so spritzt vor unser Blut. Sprotzen wird dort unser Wure, unser Mut. Wird die Morgensonne begilden uns dem Hain, und der Nächten wird verschwinden mit dem Feind. Nur heut versammeln wird die Sonne dem Kajor, wie a Parol soll gehen das Lied von dort zu dort. Nur heut versammeln wird die Sonne dem Kajor, wie a Parol soll gehen das Lied von dort zu dort. Das Lied geschrieben ist mit Blut und nicht mit Blei. Sind nicht kein Lieden voller Feugeläuter frei. Das hat wohl zwischen fallen die gewähnt. Das Lied gesungen mit Naganes in die Hand. Das hat wohl zwischen fallen die gewähnt. das Lied gesungen mit Naganes in die Hand. Du sagst nicht, Himmel, lass du gehst dem letzten Weg. Verschieben Bleiene, verstellen Bläue Tag. Kommen wird noch unser ausgewählte Schau. Sveta pojkt on unser Trott, wir seinen da. Kommen wird noch unser ausgewählte Schau. Sveta pojkt on unser Trott, wir seinen da.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes tonight's program.